Hello, welcome to the Konnekt-000-7 experience. Here, we come to the podcast where human connection is everything. If you're trying to connect better with those around you, you're in the right spot. So please, sit back, relax, open your mind, and enjoy the experience. Happy Tuesday, you guys. I hope you are having a great start to your weekend so far. My name is Thaddeus Sims, and I am the host of this amazing podcast. And I'm super excited to talk about this topic because I love it when your closest people ask you questions that literally just like you've never been asked before, and it really changes your way of seeing things and like your just perspective on life and people, right? So I'm really excited to get into this episode. So the title of this episode is titled Investing in Another, right? So before we get into this episode and I go into even more things, I'm very excited even for the health as well, the lineup as well. And for those of you who are new to the podcast, you're going to learn what that is a little bit later. But before we go into any of that, I have to share the fun fact with you. And no announcement this time. So we're going to go into the fun fact. Now let us talk about Twitter, shall we? Let us talk about Twitter. The fun fact is that the Twitter bird actually has a name. I didn't know that. I don't really get on Twitter like that. But apparently Twitter, the bird has a name, and his name is Larry. Larry the bird. That is his name, Larry. So I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I'm just going to change it all up. Like, oh, did you look on Larry and see what he was tweeting about? Like, what? That's the bird name. I know me. Once I learn something like that, it just changes everything for me. So now I'm just going to stop calling Twitter and just be like, yeah, did you go on and see what Larry was talking about? Did you see what happened with Larry? I'm going to do that. But apparently, the name comes from Larry Bird, who is a famous Hall of Fame basketball player. And get this, the species of Larry the Bird still remains a secret. Interesting. To me, it kind of looks like a little chicken, but I'm going to leave that alone. So, that is the fun fact, guys. Now, let us get into this episode. So, a little bit of a preface before we get into this. My sister, we're always talking, and she has this gift of every time we have a conversation, we're always just talking about a variety of subjects, be it me and her just picking on each other, my little niece, life, funny friends that we associate with, and then here and there we get onto questions where it's like, I have a question. What if blah, 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 blah. And those questions always turn out to be either funny or it really makes you think, or it's just like, or it makes you feel some type of way, right? And this particular question my sister asked me was, I'm gonna start off with the questions and then I'm gonna tell you where she got it from, right? So this is gonna be the format. This is gonna be very interesting. So before I go into just the question part itself, now, when you hear investing, guys, like, don't think, oh, I'm not a business owner, or don't think I'm not an investor or anything like that. But come at it in an open mind, because I'm actually going to be talking a bit to everybody. If you are a business owner or not, if you are an investor or not, you can still apply this. Right. I'm going to ask you some questions. So be on the lookout. There's questions that I have for you, and you can either leave a comment if the comment section is available in whichever you listen to the podcast, or when I post a snippet, you can comment on either Instagram or Facebook. So either or, right? So, or if not, you can always just ask yourself. So let us get into this. So with this, like I said, I said that part. All right, so we're going to get to the questions. First question she asked me, she was like, hey, brother, if I had $20,000 and I wanted to invest in your business and ask for 10% of your profit. Would you do it? And I was just very like out of nowhere. I'm just like, interesting. And I was explaining to her, as I was thinking, I was like, I was like, in this current point in time, I was like, I don't think I would take it. I mean, yeah, that is a very good thing. That's like a very cool thing. But I was like, I don't even know much about investing, and I'm learning about it, right? And I was just, because, me and my sister, we're very authentic. So this is a very authentic conversation, right? I always telling myself. And I was like, I don't really know much about investing, but I'm learning now. So I said, but to really be open and authentic with you, I'm still in the middle of really just kind of like focusing it and getting certain aspects that I need to have for it crystal clear. And I wouldn't even take the money like at this point in time, because I don't think I would do anything, I'm going to say, good with it. Not in the sense that I'm going to blow it, but in the sense of like, I don't really know, where I'm focusing at. So I don't want to waste it on something I had no idea, putting that money towards, versus if I had a very crystal clear image of everything that I'm doing with it, then I could be like, okay, I know I can put this here, I can put this here, this will help here, this will help me get, from step 2 to step 7, right? Versus now I'm like, I'm still working on things. So I'm working on even putting steps together for things. So I was like, yeah, I wouldn't do it, at the moment. And I was just really just being authentic and open with her. And a part of me wants to ask you guys, like, if someone asked you that question, be it you or a business owner, right? Or if some person just wanted to invest in something that you believe in, right? Would you be able to take that $20,000, right? So that's a question for you to really ask yourself. Would you be able to take it? Now, I'm going to ask you another question with that is, okay, a lot of people say, oh yeah, I take that money. That's $20,000. Whew, of course. Now, are you going to just blow that on just your bills and getting this new thing, getting that new thing? Or are you going to take the money and invest it in what the person believed in you for? Like, I believe in what you're doing with helping kids. I would like to invest in that. Are you going to put all of that money into the kids, or are you going to put that into your bills and new stuff, right? So you really have to be accountable here. You really have to have a sense of character. So that's one thing. And I was very aware of my character, and I at that moment, and I just know who I am right now. I'm just like, yeah, no, that sounds great, but I was like, not at the moment, because I'm not clear. So that was just my character. So this was really like a character check for you. What does your character say? Are you going to just take the money and spend it on crazy stuff? Or are you going to take it and invest it in what the person gave the money to you for, to invest it in, whatever it is that you believe? So here's the second question that she asked me. She said, okay. She was like, all right, well, second question. If I said that I'd pay you an allowance that covers all of your bills so you can focus on your business, and all you have to do is keep me updated with its progress, would you let me? And I just said, well, damn, okay. I was like, but what's the, first for me, I'm just like, well, okay, that's great, but what's the catch with that? She was like, no, she was like, would you let me? And I was just like, I mean, hell, if that's what you want to do, sure. I was like, all I got to do is update you. Shit, I'll update you every damn day, with it. That was just me. I was like, if you want to do that, why not? Just so I could focus on my business and things like that. And I just keep you updated. Sure. So I was just asking that, I was just thinking, I was like, yeah, I'd update you. Sure. And then it was just a part of me, because I'm just like, okay, but what is it that I can give you in return? That was just me. That's just, I'm a giver. So it's like, okay, you're giving me this, but I need to figure out, so that's why I was asking again. I'm like, but what's the catch though? She was saying, well, she's like, no, I just wanted to know if you would let me, because there was this video that I was watching on YouTube about a guy whose friend did that for him in his business. So his friend basically paid for him, gave him an allowance, and paid for him to focus on his business. And he just updated him with the progress. And so it led to his friend having them, like, they would sign a contract, I think like a 3-year contract, to where he'd be able to, I guess, like maybe pay his friend back or something like that. However that went, I just know she was saying it was a contract they signed, and and it paid the friend back, and the friend had a percentage of the business. Now, I believe she said the friend who was receiving, the percentage of the business sold like the business back to him or something like that, or that part of it back to him, so that he could have 100% ownership of his business and not be greedy and, constantly asking, or just not be greedy, basically. And along those lines, that's what she was telling me. And I was just like, wow, that's huge right there. Okay. I was just like, whoa. And I know some people who are like investors on here, I'm assuming, and I know I shouldn't assume, but I'm assuming some of you guys were like, what? He did that? Like, he stopped that? That was stupid. Maybe he that was an investment or an asset that he could. I don't know what you guys are thinking, because again, like I said, I don't know much about investing, but I'm learning. But for me, I was just like, wow, that is big. And me and my sister was having the conversation of, yeah, that is really big. Like, he believed in him to invest in his friend and his business, and it got up there. And I was like, if a friend did that for me, I'm like, I would feel like it's only right to give them a percentage, because hell, they technically, for me, I looked at it as they invested and they gave me time, which to me, I know people, you can't really say you get time back or whatnot, or you always lose it. But I felt like that person gave me time and the resources to do it. The biggest thing was my time. Like, you gave me an allowance so that I don't have to waste my time here, there, and everywhere working and deciding to just focus on my main thing, which is my business. Like, I felt like that person gave him time to do what he was able to do. So I feel like it's only natural that he gets a percentage of the company. How much, I don't really know. That depends on the company and all the other aspects. But yeah, and my sister was like, yeah, that's a really awesome thing to have friends like that who'd be able to do that. She was like, just think, like, imagine like a bunch of small businesses, if people were to do that, how many small businesses could probably like grow, really, really fast. I was like, yeah, that would be really cool. I don't really know much about like I said, I don't know much about the investors. I hear like angel investors and different types of people. There are actually people who actually go out to look to do this. I mean, obviously, I think Shark Tank as well, but that's only my limited knowledge and range of information when it comes to investing. So and obviously there's other factors in this, guys, but that was just part of the conversation we had. And so then it led to the next question of my sister saying, well, no. When she told me all of this, the next thing I said was like, wow. I was like, I can see myself doing that. I was like, but there's a lot of factors for me to just invest in some like a friend like that. Like, I have to know them. Like, I really have to know them, know their work ethic, know their mindsets, know how they can handle, stress. What do they do when they possibly come up to with dealing with hangups, or, how do they handle failure? All types of things. And I was like, even then, like, there's so many factors. Trust has to be a huge thing in that. And I was like, yeah, you definitely got to update me. I was like, I feel like I'd be way more strict with that, because I'm like, when you're putting your money involved, this is serious. But obviously, you believe in your friend and you're close. I was like, still, I'd have to really, really know you. There's a lot of factors for me to do that, and what you're doing, your business, and even if it's in alignment with the things that I hold value to and believe in, there's so many factors for me. And then, which is a question I was going to say originally, my sis asked, so how many people would you say off the bat that you'd be able to do that with? And I was like, it is not a lot. I was saying we for me it came up, I'm gonna say 3.5. And I know some of you guys are like, how the hell do you have a half of a person? Because it was like that half of a person's like, I was like teetering, like I was going backwards and forwards. I'm like, because she mentioned a friend. I was like, no, because I don't really know, I don't really know her, but I have a sense of her and how she is. But I'm not sure how she'd handle these other aspects. So I have to look into many different aspects of this before I do it. So that's why I said a half. But for me to kind of debate, I just say, I'm just leave it at 3. And I said, yeah, for me, it's 3 off the bat, immediately 3 off the bat. And I was like, anybody else, I can't think of those 3. And she already knew who those 3 were. Her and another friend of ours, another relative of ours. And there was also another person as well who actually listens to the podcast, so he knows I'm talking about him. And I will say he's actually the one who created the theme music, actually, for the opening music and the ending music. He's actually the one that created it. So just in case he was wondering, but I'm pretty sure he knows. I told him. But those would be the only 3 that I could do it in. And that's really it. I can't think of anyone else because, again, there are many, many different factors. And now I turned the questions to you all. That was the conversation we had. And for me, I just felt like, wow, that impacted me a lot because it really just had me thinking, again, this is the podcast for human connections and connecting with people. And there's so many different ways we can connect with people, like investing in other people. I always talk about other things, loving another person, communicating, but even investing in a person, that's a huge form of like connection and even commitment and other things and belief. So just with that, I was just like, wow, there are some people that I can definitely do that with, but just not a lot. And so with that, with the people, because it's just having me thinking, it really just impacted me, really just looking at the perspective of like, wow, it put me in a perspective of, I said, I would do that. I definitely would. And I felt like there's other people I would invest in. And a part of me, like, as I'm talking to you guys, it sounds a little bit weird, but a lot of things are kind of just like downloading in my head where I'm just like, this might be the beginning of something. There are some things I would definitely love to invest in and things like that. And people, mostly people, like I have to know you before I just invest in your like a company. Like I would like to know you personally and actually talk with you, see where your mind's at, your vision. As you guys know, I love talking with people. So before I can just invest in a company, I think my preferred method would be, and to those of you who are investors, you're probably like, oh, he's such a beginner, because I don't really know. But at the moment, I'm thinking, I would like to know you. Like, I would like to really sit down with you. And I have to just talk to you and ask you some questions. I have to feel your vibe, know why you do what you do, know where you're like, what's your at your core. Is it just money, or is it the love of people, right? Like, are you really trying to impact and help others, or are you just trying to make money? You know what I mean? Like, you selfish, you're a giver. There's many things. And it just really had me to really change my perspective on possible future endeavors, right? And I wouldn't even say future, because that's a whole other thing. But just now, that just changed my perspective. So, my thing is for you guys, just listening to this, did this open your mind a little bit of what people you could do this with, or the people you would like to help? And now, again, like I said earlier, this doesn't have to be necessarily a business that you're investing in, or, something like along that line, right? You don't have to have boohoo money, but you can take this, like I like to do. I like to take things and probably implement them in different areas. So what friend could you invest in, or what person could you invest in? And it doesn't have to be money, but it could be time. It could be maybe your knowledge and expertise in an area, right? Like, there may be someone who you talk to and they may just need a little bit of help and or guidance. And you simply just say, hey, I believe in what you're doing. I just feel like maybe you just need a little bit of guidance, maybe a little, some tools that I have that can help you. Are you open to that? Right. And so investing doesn't have to be necessarily money, but it could be your time. It could be your knowledge. It could even just showing them a few things that you have done, or even books. That all still goes under tools, right? But you get the idea. You can really think about a person that and think of ways that you can invest in them. Heck, even just like emotional stuff, just talking with them and helping them through that, right? So what people could you do this with? What people could you invest in? How many people? Could you count them all on one hand? Could you count them all, on both hands? Could you use your hands and your toes? You know what I mean? So that was like a part of an opening. What is this? Is this opening you guys up? I'm very curious. So my questions to you is, could you do that? Right? Like I just said, if you have, besides the money, could you even do that? Would you want to do that? Right? That's one of the questions to you. And like I said, another question, because I was writing this down. I was like, how many people could you say for sure you could do this with? Right? I already asked you that earlier, but for sure, like right now, how many people? For me, it's 3 off the bat. Like done, don't have to think about it. It's set. And just to give you all a little bit of, I'm gonna talk about one friend just to kind of give you all an example of maybe what you could look for when it comes to this area of things. Maybe if you're like, I don't really know, because there's some people who have this, some people who have that. So how do you really know for sure? For me, I'm gonna use this one friend, and he's the one who created the opening and ending for the podcast, the music. He came to mind immediately because there are a few factors with him that I was just like, and I told him, okay, I'm just going to go into it. The first factor is every time I talk with him, sorry. Okay. My voice, apparently I need some water here. I don't want to sound like I'm dying on the podcast. That's what a few people told me. It's like, yeah, you need to drink some water because you sound like you're dying. So let me drink some water here. Okay, I think I'm good. I think the voice is back. Are we back? Testing. I think we're here. Okay. This friend in particular, I always forget his age. And I think he's 7 years younger than me. And 7 to 6 to 7. And usually those in that age group, I'm 27. So he's like 20, 21. Those who are usually in that age group, I don't really talk with them like that because their mindset is not really there. Not all of them. Let me say that. Not all of them. Because there's another person who's in that age range too who, oh my gosh, I'm learning things from her. Right. So this is not to say you can't learn nothing from people who are younger than you, but he's not the typical 20 to 21 year old. His mind is nowhere near there. So when we talk, I'm literally thinking he is my age. So that's one factor. He's very mature for his age, and he could talk with any person, be it very old, be it, so elderly, middle age, his age, younger. He has that. The second thing is that this young man literally is all about like grinding. Every time I'm talking to him, he's grinding, especially when it's something that he believes in and he's passionate about. It's just natural for him. I swear it's his personality, right? Another thing is that he's able to communicate. He's not afraid, and he also likes to debate so he could learn. So he's not afraid of communicating, right? He's very bold, and he can literally there's no fear in that. And also, too, he's very open to sharing his mind. Another thing is that he does other things that he invests in himself. So I know like he's really good at public speaking and writing and music and many things. So he's very talented, right? And he does things to invest in himself. He loves to grow. And that's his biggest thing. I also know how he handles, we'll say, potential moments of not failure, but moments where we're at a point where we don't really know what to do. He immediately asks himself, okay, so what's next? Right? So I'm aware of his mindset with his emotions and things like that. He has them and he utilizes them, and he also, processes them and learns from them, and he keeps it moving. He never really stays still, right? Like, well, because we're all growing. So he's always in the moment. He's always gaining things, but he's always moving forward. And other factors, which I feel like he's definitely going to be in business in some way, somehow, just because of like how he is and what he does. Every time I talk with him, when he, like, for example, he does his music, when you speak with him, he never says, oh, my music is about me, or my music's about this, or it's not I. It's always about other people and helping other people. So he's very selfless in that manner, right? And again, he's always investing in himself, and he's always creating new things. Another thing about that is he has excellent time management, in a sense of he will not let other people mess up his time. So if he's in the middle of something, or he's grinding, he's busy, you will talk to him when he has the time to do so, right? So I'm like, damn, that's powerful. And he's just always just doing something that's, that he's growing. Another thing is that he keeps his circle small, and he's very, very, very aware of who he allows in his space and his energy. So it's just like, he just has, I can go on and on and on about him, but he just has so many things where it's just like, oh yeah, if he was to say, hey, I'm thinking of doing this for X, Y, and Z, totally would invest with him. It would be no problem. Like, I don't even have to ask him, for updates. I mean, I probably would. That's just me. That's just a me thing. But I'm pretty sure he'd just tell me, because he's always updating me. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm learning. So it's just like, that's an easy win. I don't really have to think about that. The only thing that I'd have to really take the time to say or look at is like, okay, so what is it that you're doing? What are your thoughts with it? The vision for it all. So that was just an easy for me. And the other friends as well, I don't really even have to think about, because their work ethic and the way they do things is you can't question it. There is no doubt, right? Even if you try to question it, you'd be weird. So that's just an example of some of the things that would qualify for me to just invest in a person. So maybe this is a good time for you to think about, what person would you invest in? Also, too, I forgot, I trust him. Let me say that, because trust is very important. So I definitely trust him. So what are the things that you guys would look for in that, right? And again, this doesn't have to be money, guys, but you can take investing in many different areas. So what are some of the things that you would do? Because at the end of the day, I'm going to always say this, guys, at the end of the day, it's all about that human connection. Everything that we do, humans are going to be involved in. So whether you care for it or not, they're there. And it just allows you really to just ask yourself that question about those type of people that you would invest in. Like, would you have a method? Are you an investor currently? And, is there a method that you have when it comes to investing? Because I would love to know that myself. And what type of people do you look for? Right? And even if it's not in business, if you're a person who invests your knowledge and time, what is it that you look for? Because it could be a little bit different. Like, as a person may be serious and they're actually focused and they're not playing games, that could be a factor. If you see another person who maybe is probably inexperienced in something, but they have a lot of passion about it, and you can see it in their eyes when they talk about it, but they just need a little bit of help. Is that something that you look for? So what are those things? This is a bunch of questions that I'm asking you all, so you can answer them. I'm waiting for you to say something. And then just the last question with this, guys, is, do you feel like a lot of small businesses would grow tremendously if this was more common? I would say yes. I believe so. I'm not the most educational business expert, but I would say from what I have seen with a lot of people I know who have their own businesses, if they had friends who really, really had the resources to invest in them like that, a lot of things would change dramatically. And at the same time, you guys know I like to look at many different aspects, because at the same time, I'm noticing also that the friends that are, and associates, not everybody a friend, but associates, that they're learning things even in the moments where they're not really getting, so much of the resources. Even in my situation, I know there's a lot of things that I'm learning to where I could honestly say, if someone was to offer me, like my sister was saying, if she was trying to offer me the 20,000, I'm like, no, I could not take that right now. I can honestly say, because there's things that I'm learning that I'm getting focused on before I can even take that. And I feel like there are many steps that we have to go through and understand and learn. Sometimes we don't. Let me just say that. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we just got it and we just, need to go and go with it. And I feel other times we just need that time to get that experience and get those lessons. So everybody is different. Everybody has a different situation. So some people, oh yeah, I'm ready. And some people, we need some lessons first. So those are my takes on it. But I definitely feel as though if we had those friends who would invest in us, not just with the money, but with their knowledge, and do that, and just like having a network of, businesses or business owner friends that you really trust and you connect with and you learn from, I feel like for sure. And I believe that is actually happening maybe in other parts, of the world. And it could be happening in my own backyard and I don't even know because I'm not in that network so yet, per se. But I definitely feel like it would tremendously help other small businesses grow. And I'm curious, what do you all think? Do you think no? Do you think there are many factors before that can happen? So I'm very curious. Now, so that's it for that part of the podcast, guys, when it comes to investing in another. So you literally just learn you don't have to just invest money, but you can invest your time and resources. Now your mind's open to, maybe, this is what I need to look for when it comes to, quote unquote, these type of people to invest in, right? Now, I desire that you learned something from this. Now, let us get into the health is wealth. And this is going to be a little bit more serious than I normally go into it. And I really wanted to get all of my facts right with this before I shared it, because this is very serious and I don't want to steer anybody in the wrong way. So a lot of people, we've been hearing, let me talk about the health as well. So if you're new to the podcast and you're like, what is this health is wealth thing? The health is wealth segment of the podcast is a little bit of a bonus that I add to every episode, so that you're learning how to connect with people. That is the main thing for the podcast, the human connection, how to connect with those around you and yourself. But the bonus of it is your health. Your health is your wealth. And my goal is that every time you listen to the podcast, you become aware or you implement something that is new into your health. So the next episode you come to, you're a little bit healthier, right? So that is my goal with the health is wealth. And also just broadening your awareness of things, because I come to find, you go to certain places and you learn certain things, but when you have those bonuses of like, oh, I didn't even know that, it does something, right? It's like a little switch, like, whoa, I wasn't aware of that. And I have benefited from just listening or talking with certain people, which we would say was like a business conference, or was just a business talk. And someone threw in something in there when it related to, maybe spirituality. And it was just like, whoa. Or they threw something in there when it related to like your emotions. And it's like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. So it kind of like, it was a bit of an impact, So that is a goal. Health is wealth. Now, for this one, I chose mental health. And mental health is talked about a bit. No, I'm not even going to say it's talked about. It's brushed upon. It's brushed up upon, right? You hear about it and you see the posts. I know I do. You see the posts where they say, take time for your mental health, or, take days off for your mental health. all types of things. Like it's those little things, but we don't really go deep in it. We don't really talk about it. And some of you may go through symptoms that could be early warnings of some mental health issues that you may not even be aware of. There was one in there that kind of made me question it. So I was just like, you know what, let's talk about this. And I went on, I believe it was mentalhealth.gov, just, an official site. And I'm just going to read to you all from what I got from the site, and let's go into this. So you are a bit more aware of it, and, it may help you out just in case if you're going through it, or just, simply increases your awareness. So the first thing is, what is mental health, right? Now, sometimes you guys I know sometimes I dabble it with emotional health. So that's why I was like, you know what? I really want to get clear on this. So let's get into this. So what is mental health? So mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also helps determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. Mental health is important at every stage of life, from childhood and adolescence through adulthood. Over the course of your life, if you experience mental health problems, your thinking, mood, and behavior could be affected. Many factors contribute to mental health problems, including biological factors such as genes or brain chemistry, life experiences such as trauma or abuse, family history of mental health problems. Mental health problems are common, but help is available. People with mental health problems can get better at any, and many recover completely. Now, before I go into this, because there are early warning signs, this was big for me. That's why I'm glad I decided to get very clear, because the point where they were saying that literally it is important at every stage of life, I always kind of focused on a little bit of kids and a little bit of where I'm at now, my late 20s. And I never really took into the consideration, like kid stuff too, but never really took into consideration the high school teenager phase, right? Like you're going into high school, coming out, college, things like that. I think college is where it really kind of just starts to get you. And then once you graduate out of college, I felt that's what my main focus, because that's where I was at in life, like those 20s. And I just felt like that really affected those different aspects as well. So I was just like, interesting. And the reason why I didn't go too much into that, really, because something happened to me recently, and I won't go into too much detail because I really want you guys to get it, but just to give you guys a little bit of impact of why that hit me, for where they say it's important for every stage of your life, is that I recently, I want to say last week or so, I was in meditation, and I came to find out that I never healed from something that I thought 100% that I healed from. And this was 9th grade. And I learned that I was covering it up unknowingly. Let me say this, unknowingly, with learning about like business stuff and doing other different things. And I felt like that growth, which was important, but I felt like that growth was like, I'm healing from it. I learned from it. But in fact, it was just a cover up. I did not know that. And in a sense, because I never healed from it, I would say my emotional maturity stopped at 9th grade. And I'm 27 now. So I didn't even know that there were echoes of that, thing that happened. And so that really, really just changed the game for me, because it was just like, wow, I didn't know that this was a thing. And so it just really shocked me, where it was just like, wow, because I was going through a bunch of like different type of emotional things that I was just like, what the heck is going on with me? And it was just like, wow, it's all starting to come up. And so imagine you're 27 years old and your emotional growth stopped at 9th grade. And you're like, what? Oh my gosh, that was like over 10 years ago. What? And that was just a big shocker for me. I know I'm sorry, making sure. I know I sound like, oh yeah, okay. I'm making that sound like, oh, that was yesterday. We're over it and things like that. But it's just like that was very impactful, and it was just like, wow, I didn't think even of that time, like how they're talking about like emotionals and how you handle and like think and feel. Like I didn't even know that that moment was affecting me as a 27-year-old. So sure enough, I did actually go through the process, and in the process of I would say I'm still say I'm in the process of like healing from it, but it was just like, wow. So it is very important with your mental health. Is very important at every stage of your life, and not just, where you're at now and when you were in your late 20s or when you were a kid growing up. It's in every stage. So that was big, and I just wanted to share that with you all because that's just what stood out to me. Okay, so let's actually get into the early warning signs when it comes to mental health. And I'm actually going to drink a little bit of water. Okay, so experiencing one or more of the following feelings or behaviors can be an early warning sign of a problem. So the first one is eating or sleeping too much or too little, pulling away from people and pulling away from people and usual activities, having low or no energy, feeling numb or like nothing matters, having unexplained aches and pains, feeling helpless or hopeless, smoking, drinking, or using drugs more than usual, feeling unusually confused, forgetful, on edge, angry, upset, worried, or scared, yelling or fighting with family and friends, experiencing severe mood swings that cause problems in relationships, having persistent thoughts and memories you can't get out of your head, hearing voices or believing things that are not true, thinking of harming yourself or others, and inability to perform daily tasks like taking care of your kids or getting to work or school. And so when it comes to just these early signs, one of them that made me think, it was like, okay, sleeping too much. And I was like, I love sleep. Sleep is my favorite sport. So I had to ask myself, I'm like, And I know for me, like I told you guys before, sleep is the way I handle like stress sometimes. So I was like, sleeping too much. I can easily do about 10 hours, but that's because I love sleep so much. And I feel, and I really had to ask myself, like, let me really look into this. Let me look into this a little bit deeper. But for me, I love the sleep because I know all the benefits it does for my body. And I just love my dreams that I get. So it's just really fun. It's just a lot. I get a lot of good stuff, and it just inspires me. So that was one that I was like, let me look into this because I had to make sure. So those are some of the early warning signs, guys. I'm trying to see if I have some that I could share with you all when it came to just to share with you, just went through it if I experienced it. I think that's really about it. For me, feeling numb, like, no. Most of the time, yeah, yelling or fighting with family and friends. I'm always yelling, but that's just how we are. Persistent thoughts and memories you can't get out of your head. That's usually with people, so that's different because people be top in my head, and there's always a reason for that. Intuition on that one. I'm sorry, I'm just really just going through this so I can say, like, maybe if somebody went through this, I could probably talk with them and go deeper on this. Well, I could go into thinking of harming yourself or others. There was like a few periods in like my early like middle school adult times where I was thinking of kind of like harming myself, but it was more of I just didn't know how to handle the emotional stuff that I was going through, and I was just thinking maybe that would be a good outlet, but it really wasn't. Like I didn't do it, but it was thought. It was a thought, and I think sometimes like mentally the thought of doing it kind of gave me some type of relief at that time. But I just came to find video games was the best way for me. So when I had those intense emotions and I didn't really know how to handle it, and I just thought maybe if I just hurt myself a little bit, I could feel a little bit better, or do something, I can get it out of my system. But Mortal Kombat, Dragon Ball Z, they kind of do it for me. They really do. There were a lot of people, especially when they said thinking of harming others. Yeah, there were a lot of people. Yeah, I wanted their lives. I really did. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Because, there were some people. I was like, man, boy, if killing a person was not illegal, I think, and I can laugh about it because I didn't do it, but I can laugh about it because I remember the day that The Purge came out, and I was so mad when they first released the trailer, I was so mad because I'm like, they took my idea. That's where I was at, like, in that period of time. I was so mad. I'm like, if I could just, if there's a day that I remember I was saying, if there's a day I can just, it was just okay to do it, I'm like, there's some people. And I was so mad. I'm like, they took my idea. But that's where I was. But like I said, I didn't know how to handle those emotions at the time. This is seventh grade, between seventh grade and ninth grade. So like I said, the video games help, right? All right, so let's get back into this. Mental health and wellness. So let us talk about what positive mental health, it allows people. So positive mental health allows people to realize their full potential, cope with stresses of life, work productively, make meaningful contributions to their communities. And ways to maintain a positive mental health include getting professional help if you need it. I know you, and I remember, guys, I remember talking about, if you need help, and I remember talking about therapy too. So if you need help, it's okay. It is okay to ask for help. Don't let nobody tell you that they don't do it. If you feel like you need help and you feel that, definitely I can't keep doing this by myself, ask for help. It's nothing wrong with that. You're learning to get skills to help you with your situations that you may not, have. And that's how I would say looking at it. Don't look at it as something's wrong with you. Don't look at it as you're gonna be viewed as, someone who's incompetent or someone who's just, they need, who's mentally ill. Really look at it as these are, you need skills to help you in the situation that you're in. Because sometimes, guys, we're put in certain situations that we really didn't have full on control. And sometimes we don't have the skills necessary to manage ourselves in that. So really look at it as I'm learning to get the skills. It's like how you go to your job. Or it's like you going to college. You would like to learn how to maybe do something, maybe be a doctor, but you don't have the skills for it. So you're going to college to get the skills to do it. You're in certain situations that maybe keep coming up. You would like to know how to surpass this. So just go get the skills, right? That's my outlook on it. I hope that helps you. I desire that helps you out. So that's one thing. Another thing when it comes to ways to maintain positive mental health includes connecting with others. So this is a great podcast for you guys. Connecting with others. So if you need to learn how, keep listening. Staying positive, getting physically active, helping others, getting enough sleep, and developing coping skills. The physically active one, I would say that's dramatically underestimated. I would say even for me, I used to just whatever. But I find myself that if you just take the time to just, go out for a walk and put your phone on airplane mode, maybe listen to your music and just really just go out for a good little walk, that will do a lot of things for you. I find that I get the best information, the best meditations when I'm just out walking, right? And it does have me feeling really good. So that's one thing, guys. And another thing is developing coping skills. So those are really good. My coping skill is sleep and eating really good food. Because I just know when you eat something that's really good, it makes you feel better. So those are my usual coping mechanisms, or talking to someone I know who can help me. So yes, guys, that is it on the mental health tip. Now you know what it is. You know the early warning signs. So if there's something that you have, that's something you can work on. You now know what it'll allow you to do, and you now know a few ways to maintain a positive mental health. I would definitely say it wasn't added in this, but I would definitely say take time for yourself. However, you need to do that, like do the things that make you feel good, i.e., something positive. But just taking that time for yourself, taking that day to have, taking a whatever your name is. So for me, I say taking a Thaddeus day or a Thad day. Like people, and I talk to some people, they're like, what do you mean you take a Thad day? Like that is so foreign to them. I'm like, you take a day for yourself. Like you do what you need to do for yourself. If that is, you need to just stay in bed all day and rest, do that, because your body's going to tell you it needs rest. And either you're going to make the schedule for it or your body's going to make the schedule for it. And you're probably better if if you make the schedule. Or sometimes, guys, it may just be you need to go somewhere, go out on a drive, go get some paint and just start painting on some things, right? So have that day for yourself. Like you make the time for your job and maybe your business and your kids and things, but maybe you need to take the time for your day. And I feel like that's dramatically, like people don't they hear that, but they don't really apply that. And when you do, it changes the game. So yeah, guys, I desire that you got something from this. If this changed or gave you any type of value whatsoever, I would love to just know that this definitely did something for you, right? So this is, yeah, exciting. This is really exciting. And yeah, guys, that's it for this podcast episode. So I desire that this boosted the beginning of your week and that you will go into this week feeling good, feeling like you've learned something, your mind's been expanded, and now you know much more about your mental health and you have more awareness in that area. So that is my desire, guys. And with that being said, that is it for this podcast. I love you all. You all are awesome. And I will be talking to you soon. Later. Thank you for listening to today's episode. Please leave a 5-star rating and share with a friend near you. Remember, the world's a better place because you exist. Know your worth and know thyself.